Why doesn't Ada activate her omnipotence to get what she wants? Or maybe if she secretly loves Boruto, could she restore the reality of the world to Boruto? Let's talk for a moment about Ida, Boruto, and some of the crazy abilities to change the reality of the world. So far, when it comes to omnipotence, there seems to be a concept that we haven't really been able to understand and accept. In other words, in the last chapter, Ida revealed that she had used her abilities far beyond what we knew. I mean, after it was revealed that Sarada and Sumire were immune to Ida's charm, it turned out that Ida, through her deepest desire, had activated that power so that Sumire and Sarada would not be affected by her abilities. Yeah, of course, that's just based on Ida's own analysis, which she wasn't even aware she had done. It started with Sarada's words to make Ida her friend, which was the main trigger. However, in this case, there is another concept that might be interesting for us to draw as a final conclusion. Regardless of how many times Ida has used her omnipotence directly or even indirectly through her deepest desires, so far, Ida seems to be quietly starting to show what she really wants. Yeah, even though the fact is that from the beginning, we were introduced to Ida as a cyborg character with godlike abilities, we already knew what she wanted. But in the last chapter, we became even more convinced that she wanted to experience genuine feelings, whether it be friendship or love. Yeah, first about love. I think this is very ironic, because honestly, we can't lie that Ikemoto and Kishimoto have created the character Ida with a personality that I think is beautiful and not even annoying. Besides that, I'm sure there are quite a few fans who ship Ida and Boruto, right? Even though she's just a cyborg, and I don't know if she's real on the outside and inside, at least she has a face that's not too bad. But forget about that last sentence. Ironically, she even has a hard time finding love or even a true friend. Yeah, I know that maybe the biggest factor isn't her face or even her personality, but her abilities, which make everyone automatically love or even just like her. And because of that, Ida feels that she can't truly find her true love. And whether this can be considered an advantage or not, Otsutsuki is one of the exceptions. Even they are not affected by Ida's charm. So with that fact, Ida can get true love, which comes from Kawaki. Regardless of the final outcome and Ida's expectations, the fact is that Kawaki doesn't respond very well to Ida at all. Even with the way Kawaki treats Ida, we can already judge that Kawaki's attraction toward Ida doesn't actually grow, or is even just a simple feedback. Yeah, you know what I mean. Kawaki's rough nature, which really resembles teenage Sasuke, should slowly open Ada's eyes that she truly cannot keep fighting for her love toward Kawaki. Yeah, I know this might sound boring or unreasonable. However, after it was revealed in chapter 27 that Ida activated omnipotence from her deepest desires and feelings according to what she wanted, I found a clue with two different outcomes. First, if we look back to the previous chapters, I'm sure you still remember this scene. Before I explain my analysis, I want to know first, what were your expectations or judgments about this moment? Was it just simple admiration, or was there a feeling beyond that admiration? At this point, we know that Boruto and Ida are at an ideal age. Yeah, you know what I mean, right? There is no illegal or forbidden relationship like Inojin and Himawari. And that means I suspect that the evidence we can see is not a coincidence or just ordinary admiration. Based on Ida's expression and how she looks at Boruto personally, there is something we should understand, especially if we look at the interrogation arc and before the time skip. Ida seems so regretful about what she did to Boruto, which ultimately caused him to suffer and now be considered a murderer. This means that Ida truly feels that it is her responsibility and a sin she committed against Boruto. And as I said earlier, even though it sounds unreasonable, could it be that without Ida realizing it, her deepest desire slowly pushed her to activate her omnipotence once again? Besides restoring Boruto's reality, and also as Ida's sense of responsibility for making everything turn out this way, I think this is still quite reasonable, because all of that is based on one point called deepest desire, because in reality, Ida has two deepest desires in this case. The first is the desire to obtain true love or friendship, and the second is the desire to atone for her guilt towards Boruto. And it cannot be denied that a plot twist like Ida loving Boruto is still quite reasonable as well. Second, I think this is purely an analogy that actually makes sense too. Let's say this isn't about Boruto and try to look at it from a different perspective. Ida has always been known as a figure with absolute power, an ability that makes anyone fall in love with her without being able to resist. Before the time skip, she used this power to fulfill Kawaki's wishes. The world even revolved around the direction Ada set, all for the person she chose. And, of course, through a man named Kawaki. But as I said earlier, let's say Boruto isn't Ida's goal. There is one path if, in the end, the plot twist leads to one goal: to become normal. I mean, if there is another opportunity, Ida will use her power with the opposite goal in mind. Not to maintain the new reality she created, but to return everything to its original state. As if within her arose the desire to return to living as an ordinary girl, without the lingering shadow of love's allure. And this is the core of her theory. All this time, Ida has never truly felt pure love. Even though the whole world could be captivated by her, those feelings weren't theirs, but belonged to Ida's power itself. Because in the end, Kawaki, the one she aimed for and who never truly reciprocated her feelings. From this point on, there is a high likelihood that Ida begins to understand something deeper, that her power is not the path to love, but the greatest obstacle. With her overwhelming charm, she couldn't even distinguish between genuine love and mere illusion. And over time, that thought might become the driving force for Ida to let go of everything. Because to find true love, the only way is to abandon the all-powerful strength that has been holding her back all this time. And if this theory is true, then Ida's arc may not end with her becoming stronger, but with the most human decision: to become weak so she can feel true love. Oh yeah, shout out to Pei. If you want to read more details, you can pause this video. And as a final conclusion, there are so many reasons or plot twists, like in chapter 27, where she unconsciously made Sumire and Sarada exceptions. This means if she doesn't truly receive genuine love from Kawaki, then this could trigger Ada's deepest desire to activate her power, either to restore Boruto's reality or simply to be free and live as an ordinary girl without the influence of her charm, right? Because logically, if that ability can change reality, affect memories, thoughts, and so on, then in my opinion, making herself a normal girl for the sake of true love without the intervention of her powers is still quite reasonable. But what do you guys think? Is activating omnipotence once again something unreasonable? Let's talk in the comments. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'm Nim without the E. See you in the next video. Bye bye, Data Bio.